Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. It's great to have you here. If it's your first time here, I'm super excited that you're connecting with this content. On this channel, I talk about career-related issues, job search strategies, and all the fun stuff between finding a job and having a great work life. If those are the kind of things you're interested in, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, you keep me going. Thank you so much for being back. Don't forget to like this video as always, right? So today I will be talking about how to build a Canadian resume. I know I've spoken about interviews and all sorts, and I'm wondering, I haven't even gone to the basics to talk about getting started, which is having the right tools to go into the job market, AKA a resume, right? I know for internationals who come into the Canadian space, finding a job is not an easy task for most people. I mean, it's something that requires a lot of work. And one of the ways to get started at all is having the right resume. And I did a video some time back about evaluating your job search strategies to know where you're getting stuck. And for most people, they are getting stuck at the resume level. I mean, if you're applying constantly to positions, you're diligent about those applications and you're not getting any call back, something is wrong with your resume. Is either you are not qualified for the positions you're applying to, or you do not have the right resume. And we think it's just go on and apply. No, you really must have the right resume and tailor that resume to positions if you're really serious about getting active in the job market, right? So today I will hope to share some tips with you, some strategies and some things that could help you get started. First, I'd like to start with do's and don'ts for Canadian resume. So some of the do's is, of course, in a Canadian resume, the regular things. You need to have your name properly stated. You need to have your contact details, and you can add your LinkedIn if you want to. And then you need like a profile summary or highlights at the beginning of your resume that sets the tone for the resume. And of course, you need skills, you need experiences. You know, one of the things that sets apart most Canadian resume is the chronological style of resumes, where you state your job according to the years, like you from your most current position down the line to all of the positions you've taken, because really they want to follow through chronologically to see what you've done in the past and how that aligns to the position you're applying to. Another common thing you see in resumes is volunteer experiences, like people add volunteer experiences to their resumes as well, which is definitely great. I've spoken about experience and of course, education and certifications, that's very important, of course, to show that you have the educational requirements for the position. Now, let's talk about the fun stuff, which are the don'ts, the things that do not need to be on your resume to match the Canadian style. So the first one is your age, right? I know a lot of us in our international experience, some jobs require you to put in your age, your marital status, or those kind of things do not fit in a Canadian resume. You don't put in your age, your gender, your sexual orientation, your religion, you know, your marital status, any of those factors that could discriminate against you amongst the crowd is something you should not have on your resume. You know, most Canadian organizations are equal opportunity employers, like they don't discriminate. So there's no reason for you to have those factors in your resume. And the other thing is you find people putting their pictures on a resume that is so not needed. People do not need to see your face to shortlist you as a candidate for the position if you're qualified for it in the first place. And then there's also this graphical kind of resumes where people put in designs and stuff. No, not really, because most resumes go through the applicant tracking system. And when the applicant tracking system sees the graphics, it confuses the structure of your resume, and that works against you as I mean, it works more against you than to your benefit. So don't put in graphics, just a properly arranged resume with word texts chronologically, right? I'll go into practical details as we move on. And then as much as possible, avoid typos. It's important that you don't have typos in your resume. And then check out your fonts as well. Make sure that the fonts are uniformed. Aside all of that structure, you need a clean resume. I mean, something that is appealing to the eye and is exciting to read. Now, let's get started. So when you want to build a Canadian resume, what are the things you should do first? In my opinion, I think you need a master resume. And a master resume is that resume that has all your experience, all your skills, I mean, industries that you've worked in, all your professional details, right? It could be 8 pages long or 10 pages long, that's okay, because that's not a resume that you're applying with. It's just something that has all your experience, because you want to have that to build a resume. You want to, when you have that to look at, it helps you to know what to put in your original resume, right? So you need that comprehensive list of experience. And once you're done, the next question is, an international person, how do you know what job titles you want to have in your resume? Now, someone would say, why do you have to think about job titles? Shouldn't you just put in your international job titles? I would say that for most international experiences, your job title abroad may not be similar to what you're going to have, what you have here in Canada. And when you continue to use those job titles, the recruiters may not be able to relate with it. They may not understand what that job was about. So it's important you know the right job titles to use for your positions. And if you're in doubt, like you're not sure, a good place to go is to check out your NOC. And I could walk you through that very quickly, just to help you see, like, how do you even know what kind of job titles are available for the kind of positions that you're applying to. Now, this is the National Occupation Classification. If you put that into Google, it will bring you right here to this site. And once you come here, search for the NOC code. Let's take a random example, like maybe an HR manager. Okay, so human resource manager here, and then you search. Now, when you search, you have a lot of options here that describes people within the HR manager role. So you have job titles like employer or employee relations manager, HR administrator, and a bunch of all of this. Now, if you are an HR manager internationally, for example, you probably had a generalist role. Case in point, if you're an HR manager from Nigeria, where I came from, you probably are doing so much more than a specialist role. But the Canadian environment is specialist in nature. Like within HR, you have tons and tons of specializations. So the first thing you want to figure out, where do you want to specialize? Like, where do you want to focus on? You could have recruiting experience, L&D experience. You could have all of that experience, but you want to hone in on one of them to get your foot into the job market. So for example, how do you know which one? If you come here and let's say, for example, you chose a job like maybe industrial relations manager as a title, and then you take it to a job board or you put it out on LinkedIn, or a popular job board is Indeed. And if you bring it here to Indeed and you put in that job here, 1 second, here on Indeed, and then you put in your location and then you search. Now, Indeed tells you that you have 205 jobs that matches this job title in your location. Okay, let's change this to titles or job descriptions like talent acquisition, for example. Now, and then you go still in the same area and then you search. Now, can you see this talent acquisition as a job option has about 8,310 jobs. It tells you that if you're trying to find a job, then leaning into your talent acquisition experience as an HR person could probably be more competitive for you as an immediate option than you going in as an industrial relations manager. Now, if you play around this, it gives you an idea of where exactly do you want to focus in and how do you get your first foot forward. So when you've crossed the job title stage, then you move into properly building your resume. And I can take you through the practical steps to building a Canadian resume. Now, I have a sample resume that I have prepared, something to just help you have an understanding about building a Canadian style resume. And so in this resume, I have the first and last name. And people ask questions about what name should I put on my resume. That's a totally different discussion altogether. I mean, people say, it's not an assumption. I mean, there are instances where people struggle to find positions because of the name that they have on their resume. But I speak for myself in the sense that I have used my normal first and last name. I've never had to change my name, and it has not worked against me. So I don't know about that, but that's a different conversation altogether. Now you have your first and last name. The next thing you want to do is right here, you see, I put in some certifications here. And the reason is because that thing you hear about recruiters spending between 30 seconds to 2 minutes on a resume to determine if they want to move on with a candidate or not, it's actually totally true. Because if you imagine if 200 people apply to the same position and one recruiter has to review those resumes, it's a lot of work, right? So they don't want to spend too much time if the person is not looking like the candidate they're looking out for. But you want to be that candidate that ensures that they stay with your resume by putting in the best facts about you forward. Of course, later in the resume, you would find an education section, which I have down here, with all the education and certifications. Great, but I don't want them to go all the way down because they may never even get here. But I want to make sure that from the first contact with a recruiter, they know that this candidate has a MBA, has a PMP or a CHRO, especially if the certifications are required in the job description. Then you have your phone number, your email address. I cannot overemphasize why this should not be written wrongly. It's so important that you have your contact details right. Like, it's so important. You don't want to be qualified for a job and make it impossible for you to be reached, right? So get your contact details right. Put in your location. Well, people may say, well, location is no longer a big deal because jobs these days are remote. Before now, location is a big deal. For example, you're applying to a job in Vancouver and you're in Toronto, and then they see Toronto on your resume and they know this job is not remote. It automatically says you're not qualified for the position. Whereas you don't want to be in Toronto and not say you're in Toronto if the job is in Toronto. So it's important to put in a location. Then put in your LinkedIn profile. So I add a link to my profile here because I know that I want the recruiter to see my profile. I want them to be able to click on it and see it, only because my profile matches my resume and I've done things on my page, on my profile, that I want people to see, right? I want them to see the kind of content I produce. I want them to see the kind of people that follows me and that I follow. You know, it favors me if the recruiter sees my LinkedIn profile. If you think your profile is not strong enough, you don't want to create that much attention to your LinkedIn profile, right? And then you have your profile summary. Some people call it career summary. They call it highlights, you know, whatever it is. You just need a quick preview to yourself and your professional capabilities so they can get to know you right away. So here, I have a summary like result-oriented professional with over 10 years experience, especially if the role says they want someone with that longer experience. I want to make sure that they see that right away. Now, beyond whatever is written here, I want to call your attention to this section where I have the letters in red. Now here, is an opportunity for you to match your resume with the job description, right? The job description had said, oh, maybe we need a candidate who has online marketing strategies or consumer outreach, whatever, you know, just some punchlines that aligns with the job description. So in this case, you see, it says strong leadership skills with experience creating online marketing strategies, attaining consumer outreach goals, managing social media applications, implementing email marketing strategies. You know, it's saying that this is my experience, but it's speaking in terms of the exact skills that the job is looking out for. And you can also maximize the key skills section. I mean, for this, you can use to the best of your advantage, especially where that job description lists a couple of skills. You can match your skills. You know, if they've asked for specific technical skills like the Microsoft Office, make sure you have it on your resume. Because when they are searching, using an applicant tracking system to search for candidates or shortlist candidates, they put in the skill set. So if you don't have those skills, your resume would not be shortlisted, even if you're a good candidate for the position, right? So you need to have matching skills. Then let's go to your job experience. Now, like I said earlier, Canadian style resume usually states job experience chronologically, even though there are so many other options, but that seems to be the most preferred option because they want to see immediately what your journey has been like and if you've had any gaps, right? So putting your job title in that position, the company and time in role. So time in role is what helps you to stay chronologically because it shows from year on year how you've fared in your professional journey. And then the body of your experience is another thing I want to call your attention to. So for most people, you just put in a bunch of stuff here, wishing it's not red. It's red for most people. And you want to make sure that whatever you're putting in here matches the job that you're applying to. But you don't just want to state what you do every day. You want to say things that aligns with that job description and positions you as a highly experienced person, right? Now, if you're in doubt, you don't know how best to say what you want to say here, this is a good site, is a good career site that I'll recommend to you. It's called Job Hero. Now, this is not to say that I know anything. I know Job Hero, it's not an ad, it's just something that I know has been helpful for a lot of people. So if you come to Job Hero, you can definitely use this to build a resume like the resume builder, but that's a paid function. But if you don't want a paid function, you just want to use this to build your resume. You come in here and you're searching. Now, if you come here to search by job title, let's say you're looking for a talent acquisition position and you're trying to search for a talent acquisition role. So you put in talent acquisition here. See, here's a talent acquisition specialist. Once you click on this, it gives you some example of how people describe their position. So if you come here, you have several options here, several options, right? So you can come in and pick one of the options and this person says they've done full life cycle recruiting. That's a description of a function in recruitment. If you put this in your resume, it says that you've done end-to-end in recruiting, right? Sourcing, screening and interviewing, utilizing behavioral interview techniques. You know, this tells the recruiter that you know your onions in terms of that field of job, right? Now, this may not match your experience completely, but once you read how people describe their experience, you can adapt or modify to your purpose, right? Or use it the way it best suits you. So this helps you to feel the description section of your resume. And then when you're doing that, be conscious about taking leadership on whatever projects you've done. So use those punchlines. I managed, I led, I designed, I created, those punchline action words that shows that you actually achieved some things on your previous position. Now, the next thing is your education section. Now, it defines where your education should go for most people. I usually encourage that whatever you do, make sure your experience shows on the first page. So important. If you went to school and you're a recent graduate, you want to say something, you want to put that forward if it's working for you. Like if you probably don't have experience in that role, but you have some certification or some education that helps you to compete for that job, you want to put that forward and not at the end. In this case, there's enough experience, certifications and all, and description at the beginning that shows that this candidate is qualified for the job, so they can afford to put their education at the end of the resume. But don't forget that right at the beginning, you have your education and certifications up there. So you've already called attention to it. But if they need to see more, they can then go to the end of your page. Like I said, you can also add volunteer experiences as an additional thing to your resume here. One other question that people generally ask is, how long should the resume be? Well, the rule of the thumb is to ensure your resume does not exceed 2 pages. You can have a 3-page resume if you have a lot of experience, but then don't, because you want to have lesser pages, don't take away the most important thing about your experiences, right? That's all I have to share. I know that there's so much questions, but I don't want to keep this video too long. So if you have questions or you want to connect about reviewing your resume or have personal questions that you want me to help you answer in your job search process, drop me a comment. Let's connect on LinkedIn, and then I'll add my links in the comment section so you can have them and review them. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. And until I come your way again, have a wonderful rest of your day.